You check your phone. Nothing. No message. No notification. No missed call. It feels strangely heavy, doesn't it? A small silence can seem much larger than it really is, as though something important is missing from the room, even when nothing has actually changed. Why does that happen? The obvious answer is that you want connection. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain does not experience loneliness as a simple emotion. Your brain experiences loneliness as a warning signal, a threat, a condition that, for most of human history, could be genuinely dangerous. Today, you can sit alone in a locked apartment, surrounded by food, electricity, medicine, and countless forms of entertainment. Yet, a part of your mind may still react as if isolation places your survival at risk. How can that make sense? To understand the paradox, you have to travel backward, far backward, long before cities, long before agriculture, long before written language. For hundreds of thousands of years, your ancestors lived in small groups. These groups were not just social circles. They were protection, information, food security, childcare, and survival wrapped into one. Alone, a human was vulnerable. Together, humans became powerful. A single person could miss a predator. A group could spot danger from many directions. A single person could fail to find food. A group could share knowledge, resources, and luck. This simple reality shaped the human mind for an extraordinary length of time. And when evolution shapes something for hundreds of thousands of years, it leaves deep fingerprints behind. You still carry those fingerprints, even now. The psychologist John Cacioppo spent years studying loneliness and its effects on the brain and body. His research suggested that loneliness is not merely sadness. It changes attention, perception, and behavior in surprisingly powerful ways. Why would evolution create such a system? Imagine an ancestor sitting apart from the group. Night approaches. The fire is distant. Every sound seems louder. Every movement in the darkness appears more suspicious. In that situation, heightened vigilance could be useful. If isolation increases risk, becoming more alert might improve survival. Cacioppo found evidence that lonely people often become more sensitive to social threats. They may pay greater attention to negative signals, criticism, rejection, or signs of exclusion. The brain becomes watchful, protective, cautious. The problem is that a system designed for prehistoric danger now operates in a completely different world. A delayed text message is not a hungry predator. A quiet weekend is not exile from a tribe. A slow response from a friend is not a death sentence. Yet ancient systems do not always recognize modern distinctions. Your brain evolved to detect patterns. It evolved to react quickly. It evolved to err on the side of caution. And that creates a fascinating problem. When loneliness appears, the brain may begin searching for evidence that confirms it. Did that person seem cold? Did that comment sound dismissive? Did everyone else get invited? Sometimes the answer is yes. Often the answer is no. But the search itself can change perception. The evolutionary psychologist Mark Leary has explored the idea that self-esteem functions partly as a social monitor. According to this perspective, feelings about yourself are often connected to signals of acceptance and belonging. That may sound surprising. Shouldn't self-esteem come entirely from within? Not necessarily. For a social species, belonging has always mattered. If acceptance influences survival, then the mind benefits from tracking social standing with extraordinary sensitivity. The result is a brain that constantly scans for signs of inclusion and exclusion. Most of the time, this process happens quietly. You barely notice it. Then something changes. A breakup, a move to a new city, a remote job, a period of grief, a season of life where familiar relationships begin to drift. Suddenly the social monitor becomes louder. The the signal grows stronger, and loneliness enters the picture. Many people assume loneliness simply means being alone. But those are not the same thing. You can spend an entire day by yourself and feel perfectly content. You can also stand in a crowded room and feel completely disconnected. Why? Because loneliness is not measured by physical distance. It is measured by perceived connection. Your brain asks a simple question: do you feel bonded to other people? If the answer becomes uncertain, the alarm may begin sounding. This helps explain one of the strangest facts about modern life. You are more connected than any generation before you. You can send messages across continents in seconds. You can speak face to face with someone thousands of kilometers away. You can access endless streams of communication at any moment. And yet loneliness remains widespread. How is that possible? Part of the answer may come from expectation. Human beings do not evaluate experiences in isolation. They compare them. 100 years ago, hearing from a distant friend might take weeks. Today, a few hours can feel unusually long. Technology increased connection. It also increased expectations. The gap between expected connection and actual connection sometimes becomes larger, and loneliness often grows inside that gap. Researchers have repeatedly found links between loneliness and physical health outcomes. The relationship is complex, and loneliness is not the only factor involved, but the pattern appears again and again. Why would a social feeling affect the body? Because your brain and body were never separate systems. They evolved together. If the brain interprets isolation as risk, the body may respond accordingly. Stress systems activate. Alertness rises. Recovery can suffer. Sleep may become lighter. The body prepares for challenges that never arrive. For ancient humans, this response might occasionally be useful. For modern humans, chronic activation can become exhausting. One famous study associated with social connection comes from researcher Juliane Holt-Lunstad. Her work has examined how social relationships relate to health and longevity. The findings attracted attention because they suggested something many people underestimate. Relationships are not merely pleasant additions to life. They are deeply woven into human well-being. That does not mean every relationship is healthy. It does not mean constant social activity is required. It means connection matters more than many people realize. And your brain knows it, or at least it thinks it does. This is where the paradox becomes especially interesting. The same system that evolved to protect you can sometimes make loneliness worse. Remember that heightened vigilance? Imagine feeling disconnected. You become more cautious. You hesitate to reach out. You assume others may reject you. You withdraw slightly. Other people notice the distance. They respond with uncertainty. The connection weakens further. The alarm grows louder. A protective mechanism accidentally creates the very outcome it fears. Psychologists sometimes describe this as a feedback loop. The cycle reinforces itself, not because anyone intends it, not because something is wrong with you, but because ancient strategies can misfire in modern environments. There is another layer to this story, a surprisingly hopeful one. Human beings are extraordinarily adaptable. The same brain that can become trapped in loneliness can also rebuild connection. Small actions matter, often more than expected. A brief conversation, a shared joke, a familiar face, a meaningful message. These moments may seem insignificant on the surface, yet they can provide exactly the signals the social brain is searching for. You belong. You are seen. You are part of something larger than yourself. The neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman has argued that social thinking occupies a central role in the human brain. In many ways, your mind appears naturally oriented toward other people. You predict them, interpret them, remember them, worry about them, care about them. This tendency is not a bug. It is a feature. Your ancestors survived because they cooperated with others more effectively than many competing species. The traces of that history remain visible everywhere, in conversation, in friendship, in families, in communities, even in the strange feeling that appears when your phone remains silent. That feeling is older than the phone, older than cities, older than civilization itself. It emerged in a world where social bonds were among the most valuable resources a human being could possess. The modern world often encourages a different story. It celebrates independence, self-sufficiency, complete autonomy. Those qualities can be valuable. But humans were never designed to thrive entirely alone. The evidence of that reality appears across psychology, anthropology, neuroscience, and history. Again and again. The pattern repeats. You are an intensely social creature, not because culture made you that way, because evolution did. That does not mean every moment of solitude is harmful. Far from it. Solitude can be restorative, creative, peaceful, necessary. The difference is choice. Chosen solitude often feels different from unwanted disconnection. One creates space, the other creates uncertainty. Your brain responds accordingly, and perhaps that realization changes the way loneliness looks. Instead of seeing it as weakness, you can see it as information, a signal. An ancient message from a mind shaped by countless generations. The signal is not always accurate. It can exaggerate danger. It can misinterpret situations. It can become trapped in old assumptions. But understanding the signal gives you power over it. You can recognize what it is. You can question it. You can respond intentionally rather than automatically. Because the lonely feeling appearing in a modern room was not designed for that room. It was designed for campfires, for hunting parties, for shared shelters beneath unfamiliar stars. It belongs to a much older world, yet it still speaks through the nervous system you inherited. And tonight, if you check your phone and find nothing there, you may notice something remarkable. The feeling is not just about a screen. It never was. It is the echo of ancient humans searching for one another across thousands of generations. A signal from a social brain trying to keep you connected. A warning that once protected survival. A message from the distant past, hidden inside an ordinary moment of silence. You check your phone. Nothing. And now you know why that silence can feel so loud.